What's up, Bills Mafia? I'm Fernando Schmude. This is your leading the charge here on Rumblings Network, Buffalo Rumblings. And today I'm going to talk about the Bills joint practice against the Chicago Bears this Friday. The Bills are going to play the Bears tomorrow night for the Preseason 2 matchup. And we had some interesting observations from that practice against the Bears. Some good ones, other not so good. I'm gonna comment on them today. So please like and subscribe to Rumblings Network channel. Support us. Do the same on my own Fernando Schmude channel. Support us with this job and this work. Always creating content for Bills Mafia, from Bills Mafia to Bills Mafia. So help us out. We are also available via podcast on Spotify, on Amazon, Megaphone. So we need your support, and I appreciate it. So without further ado, let's talk about this Bills joint practice against the Chicago Bears. Yesterday, the Bills are in Chicago. They're going to play the Bears tomorrow for the Preseason 2 matchup, preparing for what looks like a promising season for the Bills. The team is entering the second year of this retooling phase, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think it's fair to say we had a soft reset last year. The offense went through a sort of retooling and not a completely change in direction, but it continued to change the direction of what they wanted to do in the passing game, in the running game, running more the ball, passing less, trying to protect Josh Allen a little bit more, not asking him to be Superman all the time, not asking Josh to throw the ball all the time, becoming more of a run-first team, opening the play action possibilities, not having a clear wide receiver one anymore, and instead having a group of solid number 2, number 3 guys in the league that would be together, form the everybody eats mentality, and allow Josh to command this offense, this passing game, and take advantage of matchups, not worrying about anybody asking for the ball all the time or demanding the ball, or maybe not being so happy without the touches he believed he deserved. So the Bills went this direction last season. And as far as regular season, it was perfect. I think we had a good offense, obviously one of the best in the league, scoring a lot of points, over 30 points per game, and it worked as far as we think regular season. When we start to look in the postseason matchups, and especially when we start to look at the matchups against the biggest dogs in the AFC, our main rivals, Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs, the story is a little bit different. I challenge you to think about it, and maybe this offense wasn't working so great, right? Against the Ravens, as soon as they realized we were obviously trying to run the ball through their defense, they could contain it in the second half. They could come back in that game. In our passing game never looked easy or fluid for Josh. It's always, especially on our normal in structure plays. We never see the passing game really flowing really well, or we haven't seen Josh making it look easy in structure in our passing game. It's always like a second act. It's always like Josh buying time and then creating big plays. But the in structure passing game hasn't been really as powerful as it used to be under Dable, for example, or when we had Diggs as the clear number 1, and then the other pieces complementing with Kincaid and Shakir, Gabe Davis, and even when we had, in my opinion, the best passing game we've had recently, when we still had Cole Beasley in the slot, Diggs as the wide receiver 1, Sanders and Gabe complementing it, Knox obviously, and that passing game looked unstoppable, even if we didn't have a good running game, right? Now it looks like we have a very powerful running game. Our offensive line is nasty blocking for the run game. Obviously, James Cook is back with the team. He never wasn't, right? But he's back in practice, he's back available. And I expect the Bills to make him an even bigger part of our offense now that they decided really to pay him and make him our second best player in this offense as far as we talk about skill positions, right? So we have the offense going this direction. And the defense side of the ball, we also saw a lot of changes last season, but we didn't really have much time to make that defense look awesome. It was a kind of an up and down season for our defense, and we had Cole Bishop as an important rookie who didn't play. He played in the postseason when injuries forced him on the field, but it was the start of a soft rebuild of this defense. And this season, with new additions through free agency, through a heavily defensive side draft, we have the defense with more expectations. We expect our defense to be back to a top 5 unit, maybe in the league, to be finally a strong defense during the playoffs, right? Since Josh has needed it because he's played great in playoffs, but the defense side of the ball has been on shambles during the playoffs. We need a change. McDermott is having his second chance with building a strong defense to win championships, being the same. And we kind of have those expectations for this team this season. Why am I talking about all of this last season and both sides of the ball, the soft rebuilds? I mention it because I see Bills Mafia very excited about this season. I see Bills Mafia really believing this is the year things might change. Josh now is an MVP. The defense now is entering the second season after a lot of important players left, right? The offense proved could still be effective even without some superstars. So I see Bills Mafia more confident this year. Last season, they were worried about, are we going to make the playoffs? Are we going to keep winning the AFC East even? But this season, everybody's like, no, we got to fight for seed one. We got to fight for the first round bye, and we got to be better this season. This might be the year. The Chiefs might not be that good anymore. We can beat the Ravens in the playoffs. I see a lot of this through Bills Mafia, but in fact, I'm a little bit worried, and I will talk a little bit about it today. And it's not like I want to always be different or I'm a hater or not. Nothing about it. Last season I felt like I was more excited and more positive than most when everybody was really afraid about missing the playoffs. I was like, no way, this team is well coached. It's too well coached by McDermott, the culture, Josh Allen as a superstar MVP like player, and especially the way McDermott can make average players play at their best and play at a great level. I have no doubts the Bills would be extremely competitive during regular season. I couldn't really say that they would win again the AFC East, but I was very confident they would make the playoffs again and compete and be a tough team to get beat in the playoffs. And they were, right? Now, this season, I see Bills Mafia very excited, and I have some questions about this team. Obviously, the main questions are about the playoffs, but some red flags start to raise right now. And I, even in this joint practice against the Bears, I'm kind of worried, a little bit worried about some of the stuff that has been happening, and I'm going to talk about it today. So hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, support us. Rumblings Network is back for one more year. I'm here with the 6th season in my own channel covering the team, writing for Buffalo Rumblings as well. So support us and like our content, share it, please, and help us keep growing. So the practice against the Bears, starting from the offensive side of the ball, and it seems it wasn't a great day by Josh. Some up and downs, three interceptions thrown against the Bears defense during this joint practice, and obviously it's not like, oh, the world's gonna end because Josh threw three interceptions in a practice against the Bears. That's the moment he should experiment. That's the moment he should try to force some tight windows. That's the moment he should give some of the newcomers or even the guys that are coming back and trying to get better and to develop and become a bigger part of the offense, to give those guys some opportunities right now and see if the guys um, enter it in a right way, in a great way, making plays for him, or if they let him down. That's the best moment to try it. So Josh throwing three interceptions during a practice shouldn't be a big concern for Bills Mafia at all. But on the other hand, we can make a case that it's being a different off season for Josh. He had a lot of stuff going on. He's human, you know. It's nothing that, oh, Josh changed it or nothing about it. But he's a human being, and he can go through a lot of stuff that every one of us go through as well. So he just got married, big off season off the field for him, right? He just won an MVP. So that's a guy who always being on the other hand, on the other side of the spectrum, like always being doubt, always being the underdog, always being overlooked, you know, and deserving some MVPs even in seasons before, but always being overlooked, always needing to beat the odds. And this off season, it was different. This off season, uh, those are facts. You know, I'm not saying those changed Josh, those impacted his preparation. I can't affirm that, but just with Josh Allen being a human being like us, he can go through some emotions or some of the same situations every one of us go. And so he had other stuff, other important stuff in his life on his mind during this off season with the wedding, uh, wedding, and not a regular woman. He just got married to a Hollywood superstar, so a lot of her appointments were his appointments as well. He spent a lot of time with her, obviously, and yeah, Josh is a great guy. He obviously prepared himself for the new season, but he's coming from an MVP season. He's coming from his most success that he has ever found in his life. So it's fair to ask that maybe the mindset is a little bit different. Maybe this hasn't been the best of season ever for him. It's fair to be a little bit afraid about it, you know. And talking, and that's why I talked about the way that the offense also went to another direction. But because when we look at the last season, it's easy for people to say, okay, it was Josh's best season because he won MVP and he took care of the football. He didn't turn it over, you know. But we can't overlook that was maybe the from the last four seasons, the one that he threw the ball the least. It was the season the Bills run the ball the most, you know. And if you look at the last 4 or 5 seasons, Josh had 40 plus touchdowns. That was one of the seasons that they had the least. He was closer to 40. All the others were 44 touchdowns, 46 touchdowns, you know, more than 30 touchdown passes. And this season, less than 30 touchdown passes, almost less than 40 touchdowns. And obviously, I'm not saying this criticizing Josh, or he's still awesome. But when I watched Josh under Dable, you know, with Diggs, with Beasley, even the first year with Dorsey, okay, I saw the passing game looking easier. things looked easier for Josh, in the passing game. He had more options. People separated better. It was easier. It was easier. It looked easier. And even in the 13 seconds game, we needed a game-winning drive, and Josh and the offense delivered it. Then the Chiefs scored in a big play with Tyreek Hill. Still inside the 2 minutes, Josh delivered another game-winning drive. So two inside the last 2 minutes. And then they could get to field goal range, and you know the story. So that offense could get the job done, passing the ball, and it looked easy. Now, every time we need to throw, it doesn't look so easy. It doesn't look so fluid. The weapons can't separate the way the weapons used to separate. It's not that easy. Josh always were one of the quarterbacks that had more throws, always reaching the target in through air and less gains by yards after catch. Now it's different. A lot of throws to screen passes behind the line of scrimmage, a lot of yards after catch, and no separation downfield, no deep threats. So it's been different. The passing game has been different, and we haven't seen Josh in this preseason. Obviously, it's different to see this passing game without Josh under center. It's totally different, obviously. But in this joint practice, it seems like, especially through the start of it, the passing game was struggling. Josh was throwing picks. It tends me to believe guys weren't separating as much. We know Joshua Palmer was brought in to be the separator. Again, he can't be compared to Stephon Diggs. He can't be compared even to Cole Beasley in his prime, separating different kind of players, obviously different roles. But he's not that guy. Shakir is not on the field. He's Josh's best wide receiver. So Keon is looking good this offseason, up and downs, but he's looking good. And is still a guy for contested catches, a guy who won't create separation, right? And it seems Elijah Moore popped out again against the Bears in this practice, and it's important because I really trust Moore more than Palmer to be a separator, to be this kind of receiver Josh misses badly. So the practice continued. It seems as it went on, the passing offense got better, and Josh could complete some nice passes to Coleman downfield, to Kincaid downfield. It's important. Kincaid got to step up this year, got to become this mismatch in the middle of the field. If the Bills want to be successful with this kind of offense and this passing game style that, for example, the Patriots had for so much time, with no clear wide receiver one, a strong slot wide receiver, a strong tight end in the middle of the field, were really important for Brady in that Patriots passing offense. So if the Bills want to replicate that with mismatches and taking advantage of mismatches with a very versatile group, it's a must that Kincaid gets better this season and plays a bigger role. It's a must to have Shakir healthy. And also we need Joshua Palmer. We need more. We need even maybe Shavers with showcasing that deep threat ability last preseason game. We need those guys offering Josh those opportunities, winning their matchups and separating a little bit. It can't be as hard as it was last season, especially before Amari Cooper was brought in. When Cooper was brought in, okay, he wasn't awesome, but he still was Amari Cooper. He still demanded attention, and even if he couldn't separate, he was making some tough catches. So he was still demanding people to at least think about it. Can I let Amari Cooper one-on-one with my cornerback too? Can I let him without some help? They had to think about it, and it helped the Bills offense last season when he arrived, just to make people think about it. Now, 1 year past it, I don't think people are afraid of those Bills weapons right now. I don't think, for example, in week 1, the Ravens will commit the same mistake they they committed last playoffs game. They won't be like defending the pass and allowing the Bills to run the ball so easily for an entire half and open that lead. It's going to be a different game in week one. And I believe the Ravens will come in and will be like, no, we can't allow them to run the ball. We got to stop the run and make Josh throw the ball, make the Bills one-dimensional, put them in third and long, but then make them a passing team on offense. And then they have the pieces, they have the defense, they have the defensive pieces to stop or to match up well against our passing offense and to make it difficult for Josh, especially in the in structure part of the passing game. They can cover our guys. You know, they will force Josh to create that second act, that second opportunity scrambling. And I'm afraid it won't be very easy for Josh. Josh never had some of the best passing games of his career against the Ravens. And I'm not anticipating week one game to be one of these, simply because from what we have seen from this offense, we don't have yet the weapons, the necessary weapons to create enough mismatch against a great defense like the Baltimore Ravens defense. So I'm really afraid that we might be poised for a difficult week one matchup on the offensive side of the ball with all those struggles. Also, probably no Josh Allen in this preseason game 2 against the Bears again. And if he doesn't play in this game against the Bears, he probably won't play again in the week 3 matchup in this preseason. So to have Josh going week 1, his first few snaps in live football, to be against the Ravens week 1, a big primetime game, it's not ideal. I know people are afraid that Josh can get hurt in a meaningless preseason game, but it doesn't matter if he starts a game against the Ravens and gets hurt in the first series, in the second series, and if he's not really in rhythm, if he's not prepared, if he's not feeling well for the start of this game, it's even more dangerous, in my opinion, than playing him in the preseason, because quarterbacks have to process a lot. They have to read a lot of stuff. The speed of the game during regular season in week 1 and a big matchup against the Ravens, wanting vengeance, it's different from playing preseason. And preseason is even different from playing in practice. So I don't like Josh not playing snaps during this preseason and going straight to this game against the Ravens, with new weapons that aren't proven, and then facing that tough matchup, that tough defense that can man up our weapons and take care of them and make Josh hold the ball. I don't like it. I'd expect to have Josh out there throwing some passes, building more confidence with this offense and the new weapons, and being as ready as possible for this week 1 matchup that I envision to be really, really, really tough. And it can be really important because we are looking for a seed 1. So maybe this week 1 matchup can decide the seed 1 later in the year. So it's a tough situation. And I am a little bit worried about the news coming from practice, especially this joint practice against the Bears, and Josh not playing any preseason snaps. Well, it seems like that as the practice went on, the offense found a little bit more success. I talked about Keon Coleman. Keon is going to be huge this season. I talked about Kincaid already. Obviously, he's important. Obviously, Shakir is important. But those guys are entering 4th and 3rd seasons. They might not have another gear. We don't know. But Coleman, it seems he has another gear. And when Coleman was drafted, he was a kind of a different type, obviously, but a big body, big radius, something that it wasn't something the Bills never tried with Josh. Actually, when Josh was drafted, the first big-time wide receiver, we can put like this, even by the price the Bills paid for him via trade market, the first guy that Bean and McDermott tried to give Josh to easy things for him was Kelvin Benjamin. And I know a lot of people nowadays are like, oh, Kelvin Benjamin sucks and he's bad, he's fat, and he was worthless. But the truth is, Kelvin Benjamin had his moments in the NFL. Obviously, most of them with Carolina Panthers, but he was a unique target. He was a big guy, big radius, a guy that Ken Newton could throw the ball in his zip code area, and he knew Kelvin Benjamin gave him a chance of completing that pass. And in fact, he had a lot of touchdowns, a lot of big completions, and big time plays throwing to Kelvin Benjamin, right? And even with the Bills, Kelvin Benjamin had his moments, like in that snow game with Peterman throwing him the ball and scoring some touchdowns. So Keon Coleman is kind of like a new breed of Kelvin Benjamin, an improved Kelvin Benjamin, a more athletic Kelvin Benjamin, a guy who can offer more stuff, but also can offer some of the qualities that prime Kelvin Benjamin had. And if Coleman can, in this year two, really become this kind of target that can be trusted on one-on-one to make those catches and bring them down and convert first downs, and especially in the red zone, score those touchdowns, it's going to be huge for Josh, right? So that's something I want to keep an eye on. It's tough to see it in preseason, especially without Josh playing, but hopefully Coleman can continue to develop and become this kind of guy for Josh, and it's going to make things easier for him for sure, and maybe he can unlock this passing game a little bit more, and just like I said, try to make things a little bit easier in the passing game for Josh and the Bills. Cook obviously is back, and he's making a lot of money for a running back, right? It's easy to forget that we are sometimes arguing about giving James Cook 12 million, but the Bills gave like Ogunjobi 10 million, and obviously different positions, different needs. There is a reason defensive tackles are way more valued than running backs, and there is a reason to not be happy about the money Cook signed for. I'm of the opinion that we should invest more in the passing game than in the run game. I'm of the opinion that we should invest more in receivers than running backs, but that's the direction the Bills have gone. So now I expect them to find ways to keep James Cook more involved, find ways to have James Cook on the field in the most important times of the game, because now that the Bills decided to pay James Cook, I think things change a little bit, Before that, not that we can't demand it, still the Bills can demand or ask Cook to get better in some areas of his game, but before paying him, you had a player and you tried to develop him, improve him, and you could ask more. Look, if you want this kind of money, I need you to be a better blocker for Josh Allen. I need you to be better picking up blitzes. I need you to catch more consistently out of the backfield to become more of a threat in the passing game. Or you want to see the field on 2-minute drills and third downs. But now that the Bills paid the guy, it's kind of like, okay, I know the player you are, and you are good enough for me to pay you this high number for a running back. So now that the Bills paid the guy they know had these flaws that we are talking about, it's more on the Bills, it's more on Brady, it's more on the coaching staff on finding ways to minimize those flaws and to make him effective even with those flaws, and to extract the best out of him, not just in the areas he already does well, but also in the areas you haven't been able to use him, And you can't pay a running back 12 million, top 5, top 6 contract, 30 million guaranteed, the most ever for a running back. And when the game is on the line, you need a touchdown, he's not on the field most of the time, or all the time, like it was in that last drive against the Chiefs, right? It's inadmissible. So you need Cook on the field making plays when it matters the most, right? And now it's not that it's not on Cook on getting better. It's on Cook, obviously, but it's more, in my opinion, now that the Bills decided to pay him, it's more on Brady. It's more on the staff. It's more on the schemes. Make it work. Make him succeed even with his flaws. So looking forward to see if the Bills can find ways to do that, right? But obviously, Josh needs all the help. I'm always out there asking for help to Josh Allen, and James Cook is maybe his best weapon, the best weapon he has right now. So use him the, the most possible way. Use him as much as you can, right? That's the next step, I believe, for this offense as well, to become well balanced and more unpredictable. So looking forward to watching a little bit of it, and obviously to watch against the Bears the competition between Mitch Trubisky and Mike White. It seems Mike White had a hard time this practice as well, but he had a good game last preseason game. So looking forward, I think Mike White gotta be really better than Trubisky to win this battle. I just feel like they really trust Trubisky, trust his experience, and of being a former franchise quarterback, playing a big game in some big games. I just feel like they trust it on Mitch, and to Mike White to be able to take it from him, he will need to be way better than Mitch. I don't think he was way better than Mitch in the first preseason game, and we'll see against the Bears if he has an opportunity to really have this kind of game. I actually trust more Mike White than Mitch Trubisky, but I don't think it's easy for him to win this job. Bills Mafia, hit that like button, subscribe to Rumblings Network channel, to my own Fernando Schmude channel as well. Support us. We need your help. We are also live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone, so Amazon. You can find us everywhere. So download, rate us, hit the like button, subscribe, share, help us to keep growing and keep creating content for the entire Bills Mafia. Also, my texts are always on at Buffalo Rumblings, so check it out and comment there. Also, comment in this YouTube comment section to help us. Talking about the defensive side of the ball, the news from the practice weren't entirely negative, but there were some bad news as well. First of all, the Bears weren't having a great camp, right? And Caleb Williams hasn't been awesome during camp. He hasn't been lighting it out and showing everybody that he deserves to be the former number 1 overall pick and he's a future superstar in the league. No, he hasn't been this guy. But against the Bills defense in this joint practice, it seems like he looked awesome. He didn't throw one single interception. He could make a lot of plays, and it seems that the Bills' passing defense was awful against the Bears in this joint practice. And it's worrisome. It's really worrying. I'm really worried about it because we need this defense to be better, right? And we had Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop back as the safety duo. Obviously, they missed some time with injuries and might be a bit rusty, but still, this defense got to be better. We had Milano and Bernard together. We had Bishop and Rapp back. We had Benford and Tre'Davious White, who everybody was quick to say he was looking great during camp, but the fact is, in preseason game 1, he was the guy who was attacked by the Giants, and they completed a lot of passes throwing at Tre'Davious White. And now the news from the practice yesterday are all about the Bears passing game imposing themselves against the Bills passing defense. Not good. We'll see tomorrow how it translates to a preseason game, obviously. I don't expect the Bills to do a lot of crazy stuff on defense right now in the preseason, play a lot of vanilla coverages, just like week 1. But still, we're not going to play week 1 against a weak team. We're going to play the season week 1. We're going to play a potential seed 1 matchup already, So the Bills gotta start the season at their best, all right? And they're gonna take on a difficult team, a very good team, right, on both sides of the ball. So to hear that our defense has struggled against the Bears and Caleb Williams, who hasn't looked good, it's not promising, right? And at least I've heard about Bosa again. Bosa was a great surprise in week one, and now practiced really well yesterday. Where he could amass 2 or 3 sacks, it seems, right? Also, it seems TJ Sanders had a lot of first team reps alongside Ed Oliver, and we can't expect them to be a pair to play every down, right? They are simply too small to be a pair to play every down, especially against an offense like the Ravens, who loves to run the ball down your throat. So we need Daquan Jones there. We need even Dion Walker there with his size. We need those kind of pieces to stop the run. But it's important to have TJ and Ed together a lot of snaps, because with the investment made in TJ Sanders, I expect the Bills to use them a lot together, especially on third down. But every time you have the expectation they're going to throw the ball, it's important that you have TJ and Ed out there, because it seems they are our 2 best pass rushers from the interior, right? Dion Walker had a great week one. I'm really high on him, but we expect obviously more from TJ right now than Dion due to their draft status. And we know it's not like it's always worked like this, but coming out, starting, right? We expect TJ Sanders to be better coming out of the gate week one. So it's important to have both playing together. And if they can be really good rushing the passer, if they can be really good together on third downs, avoiding and pressuring quarterbacks and avoiding those third and long completions that this defense has struggled so much since last season, it already will be worth the investment in TJ Sanders as our second round pick so early, even if he's kind of redundant to Ed Oliver, right? So good news about it. Good news about Rousseau and Bosa playing well as well. We need more from the guys in the rotation. I particularly want to hear more about Javon Solomon. He's making strides. I want to see him doing well. I want to see him taking full advantage of this opportunity with Hoyt suspended in the first 7 weeks, and to establish himself as one of our best pass rushers. I think he has it on him. He didn't really show it in the first preseason game. I expect him to show up a little bit more in the second preseason game. He's certainly improved against the run, and it's great because he was supposed to be a liability against the run. He's looking like a solid run defender right now, and props to him. But I haven't heard much stuff about the Peneza. I haven't heard much stuff about Landon Jackson, who needs to be better than what we've heard so far and what he's shown against the Giants, right? And Hoyt really popped out against the Giants, but we won't have him on week one, so we will need to wait for him, right? So want to see those rotations against the Bears in this preseason game tomorrow, and expect to, especially Dion Walker can pop out again and continue to play well, because I have big expectations for the big guy. And let's not forget Dwayne Carter, because Dwayne Carter is in a difficult situation already in his early in his second season, right? He's fighting against the time. Ogunjobi will be suspended and he will get opportunities, but it's fair to assume the 2 rookies had already surpassed him, and it shouldn't be the case. He's a third-round pick. He's entering his second season, full of season with an NFL team. So I actually expected him to show more so far, and it's not happening, right? So hopefully we can see Dwayne Carter doing well in the second preseason game, and he'll have an opportunity during the first weeks. It's very likely, but when Ogunjobi is back, When Hoyt is back, people will need to be cut. So it's a fight against the time, and looking forward to see those guys competing. Let's see if our passing game does a little bit better in the game than they did in the practice. They gotta be better. And I'm a little bit worried also about Terrell Bernard. So for people who love to call me a homer, it's a bad day in the office, right? Because if there are two guys that I really trust and really love in this Bills team, those are Josh Allen, and you heard first here about Terrell Bernard, right? And Bernard had an injury, right? A hamstring issue that kept him sidelined a little bit during camp. He's back practicing, but we hear people talking about Milano. We don't hear people talking much about Terrell Bernard. And also, we hear people talking a lot about Joey Anderson getting first team reps alongside Milano. So if he has first team reps alongside Milano, it's in Bernard's place, right? And I'm not out there worried that Bernard might lose his job to Anderson. It's not gonna happen. We know he's the captain of this defense. We know he's the play caller. We know how important he is to this defense. I'm just a bit worried about how fragile he has looked recently, and we need Bernard at his best. Simply put, when he's at his best, he might be the best player of this defense. We can say Benford, maybe. We can say some days Oliver, some days Rousseau, Milano when healthy. But the truth is, in my opinion, Terrell Bernard is the best player, the most important player in this defense. He calls the plays. He's so smart. He plays well, but he makes others play better as well, right? And he's clutch. The play he made against Andrews last playoffs against the Ravens changed the game. That forced fumble. When we need him, he shows up and make big plays. So a little bit worried about lack of news, lack of splash plays, or lack of people even mentioning Bernard during those practices. We'll see how much he plays in this preseason game 2. But again, it's not like we're starting the season against the Cardinals like last season. Nothing against the Cardinals. I actually like their potential. And last season said most of people, look, those Cardinals are better than we are giving them credit. But we started the season against the Ravens, maybe, possibly our biggest rivals in the AFC right now, okay? Because, we know the Chiefs are always tough. We know they have our number in the playoffs. But if you look at the combination of talent on the field and coaching off the field, maybe the Ravens are ahead of the Chiefs and ahead of them right now, okay? Ahead of us right now, right? Ahead of the Chiefs and ahead of us. So that's something to keep in mind. We have a really, really important matchup in week 1. And right now, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm kind of worried about the news and the stuff that has happened. And so we'll see. Preseason game 2 is right there tomorrow night. Let's see. Those are the main things I was looking forward to watching those competitions. And what are yours? Let me know in the comment sections on YouTube. It will be a pleasure to interact and to talk some Bills to all you Bills Mafia. So please hit that like button, subscribe to my own Fernando Schmude channel. Follow me at Fernando Schmude on X, and also subscribe to my podcast at Rumblings Network, and especially also on Spotify, Megaphone, Apple Podcasts. You can find us there. All right, Mafia, that's it for today. I'll be back next week with some guests here, special guests next week. So see you next week, and that's it. See a great game for y'all tomorrow, and see you next week. That's it, guys. Go Bills.